Hello, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did and got to see a little bit of the school spirit that happens here every day at Cal. That particular student group is usually set up in Sproul Plaza, and you can catch them during lunchtime. So I'm glad they were able to join us for a little after-lunch pick-me-up. Now I will continue on with the Career Services presentation in my best a cappella voice possible. Just kidding, I would never do that to you. My name is Julie McShane. I'm the Associate Director of Career Services for the Masters of Engineering program. And I've been working in higher education for over 10 years in different student advising and career services capacities. I've been at Cal for almost 6 years and with the Fung Institute since the inception of the Masters of Engineering program in 2011. And when I came out here in 2008, I came like many of you, far away from my hometown of Chicago, Illinois. I've lived in Madison, Wisconsin, Boston, Massachusetts. And when I came out here, I never turned back. So I hope that that will happen to a lot of you, and you'll decide to join us here at Cal. So for today, these are some of the topics I hope to address. I'd just like to take another quick poll. I know we did it this morning, but to see where everybody is. Where are EEC students in the audience? Great. A lot of you attending today, and this is good for our panelists to see as well. IUR, wonderful. I see you're kind of meeting each other. MSE, I think we have a couple, and BioE, and wonderful. And CEE, ME, yay. And nuclear, yay, there you are. And how many students are originally from outside the United States? And how many traveled here today from outside the United States? Great, a lot of people came a long way, and I know how many from the East Coast? So a lot of people traveled a long way to be here, so thank you for coming. We have a diverse group today like we usually do, and I hope that I can answer a lot of your questions. And we have a great panel set up. Also with diverse perspectives, current students, alumni, and somebody from industry. So they'll be here to answer a lot of your questions as well. And we will save time at the end for Q&A, so you can talk to and answer your questions directly. So career services, what do we do? Well, Lee and I are here to help students through the entire job search cycle. We're here to help you where you are and help you meet your goals, whether that's starting your own business, getting your first job, or going on to grad school. But we want to help you achieve your goals. So our goal for the year is to help you develop the career skills that you need for your entire life, for your entire career. By the end of the program, you will know how to write and revise a strong resume and cover letter. You'll have very strong networking skills. You'll be resourceful and savvy in all your job searches. You'll know how to negotiate a salary and a job offer, and you'll understand the current job market and recruiting cycles for when you have to do it in the future. And these are some of the personalized career support services that we offer specifically for Masters of Engineering students. And as you can see, it spans the entire job search cycle. These services can be utilized as needed and as much as you want. And we are here to support you. One-on-one career coaching and resume critiques, cover letter writing, and that's ongoing. So as you're applying to jobs throughout the year, we are available to help you do that. Mock interviews, you can come see us before each interview you have to get ready. And when it comes to negotiating those offer letters, we want to help you do that. And we try and have an open door policy so we can be as convenient and available for students as possible. So our hope is that when you are done, you will have the skills to conduct a successful job search, not only for when you're done with the program, but through your entire career. We also have customized career support programs and events, and we are able to customize these based on students' interests. We have some standard ones that we've done every year that help students as they start their job search, such as business etiquette and interview skills. The interview skills workshop is a great one as you're brushing up on your behavioral skills interviewing, your case interviewing, your technical interviewing. We want you to excel at all of that. So we try and give you those skills pretty early. The career chats is something that we do each semester, and that's really what we're able to customize. And we listen to you, and we listen to the feedback that we're getting. This year, a major area of interest was big data, not just here, but everywhere. Everybody's interested in it. So we put together a big discussion panel with representatives from Google, Facebook, and the ad agency AKQA to talk about trends in big data and how you can really leverage your skills here and go out into industry and start a career in big data and tips not only for the industry in general, but at those specific companies that want to come here and hire our students. Some of the other customized programming that we did was a specific info session sponsored by Genentech for biotech students. And we also did something surrounding crowdfunding and startups because there was a lot of interest in that area. And product design, that was something else that we touched upon this year. There's also an opportunity in this area for a leadership position that was mentioned. You heard Rie speak yesterday, and she's going to be sitting on our panel today. But as the career service representative, you get to have a hand in some of this. And she helped me organize the tech treks this year. And we had the opportunity to visit some local companies. So one of the great things about coming to school in the Bay Area, you get to visit these local companies. You get access to these companies. We went to Tesla, we went to Frog Design, and we went to Google, which were all great trips and well received by the students this year. So something else that is really important, and you'll hear this mentioned anywhere you are, but networking. Networking is usually one of the main ways that you find your job. So we try and foster that, both with the employer community and with our alumni and with you, with the current cohort. We want you to get to know one another because you'll be peers in industry. So we start with the Masters of Engineering resume book over the summer. So that was already mentioned, but we start reaching out to students in June to start developing your resume, giving you tips on how you can make it stronger and ready to go once you get here. Recruiting starts pretty early at Berkeley in September, so we want you to be able to take advantage of all opportunities. So that's why you'll start hearing from us over the summer if you decide to join our program. Something else that we do to kick off the recruiting season in September is an employer breakfast, where we invite employers to come have breakfast with Masters of Engineering students. And it's a pretty casual event, but you get one-on-one access to them, learning about their opportunities, and when they'll be on campus recruiting, or if they hold interviews at their own offices. We also do alumni events, both in Berkeley and in San Francisco. There's always one in the fall, and there's one in the spring. And for a program that's only in our third year, we have a very active alumni population, which is great. They're excited about the program. They want to come back and help. They want to offer mentoring opportunities for current students that are interested in where they're working and in their fields. So at these alumni events, we have a great turnout, and I think it's wonderful that we're developing this big community in the Bay Area. So not only is it employers and alumni, but each other. And you heard this mentioned earlier with our social reps, but they create opportunities for students to get to know one another. So when you're going out into industry, you really feel like you have a support system and you have a great community that you've developed here at Cal. And beyond the campus resources and things within this program, you have access to campus resources, but also the Bay Area. There is a lot happening in the Bay Area to take advantage of. There are things happening on campus that were mentioned earlier at the Student Life panel, such as student organizations and competitions, but those are also being hosted in San Francisco and Silicon Valley. Companies like Facebook and Google will invite students to come and participate in challenges at their company. So it's nice to be in a close proximity to those opportunities. and some other campus resources. I'll let maybe my panel talk about it a little bit later, and I know you heard about it earlier, such as the networking opportunities at Haas and some other collaborations like the iSchool. So our 2012-2013 survey results. These are some statistics that came out from our last survey. This current class, the statistics are still being crunched. Students are still filling out the survey. But this has been pretty consistent year after year. Most students start interviewing in their first semester. And depending on the industry you're interested in, it really behooves you to start early. If you're interested in industries like consulting or finance, that starts in early September. So students really hit the ground running when they get here. But in the first semester, at least 76% of the students had started their interview process. And by March, 40% of the class reported accepting an offer. And within 6 months of graduation, over 90% reported working in their chosen field. So we're pretty excited and happy about these numbers. I also wanted to mention salary, because that seems to be always a hot topic and something that students want to know about. For the Master's of Engineering program, we have a very wide range of salaries because engineers are going into so many different industries and disciplines. So it's hard to really pinpoint an exact salary exiting this program. But our main goal is to give you the knowledge and the resources to negotiate the best salary for you and to know where you stand within the marketplace. And we're here to help you do that. So here are some companies that our alumni are working at. It's a pretty broad list. It's a growing list. You can see there are startups, high-tech, consulting, defense companies. So our students are really going everywhere. Some of the top employers from that 2012-2013 survey that I just mentioned, Accenture's on this list. They hired 6 students that year. Amazon hired 2, Apple hired 3, Bain & Associates, Cisco, Microsoft, those all hired between 5 and 7 students. SanDisk, who we're lucky enough to have somebody sit on our panel today, they hired 10 students. They're a really great partner of ours, as is Schlumberger has been a great partner as well, and they hire a lot of students every year from our class. And there's a more extensive list on the handout that you received in your packet, so you can refer to that. For those in bioengineering, you'll notice this is our first year with bioengineers in our program, so they're not represented in this list, but they are included on the handout, and you can see where students have been interviewing this year from the bioengineering department. And these are some sample job titles. So our students are going into a range of different jobs. And I'll give you a moment just to look at this and see what type of positions they're obtaining after the program. And again, there is a more extensive list in your handout, so you can refer to that. And it's on our website, so you can always go back to our website if you want to reference it. So next, I would like to invite up our panel. We have a current student, we have 2 alumni, and we have a manager from SanDisk from industry to represent. So I have some questions that have been submitted from you, and I have some questions for them, and then I'll open it up for everybody, and of course I'll be able to answer some more questions at the end. So thank you. I'll invite up our panel now. Thank you all for offering your time today and joining us. I really appreciate it, as I'm sure everybody else does here. I'm just going to have you start by introducing yourself. Shiva is the one closest to me. You could start. He is our industry representative, so I'll have him start. Your introduction. what you do at SanDisk, your career projection, and for the rest of you, where you went to undergrad, when you were in the program, what department you were in, where you're working now, and anything else you'd like to add about yourself.
I'll start. Good afternoon. And firstly, I want to thank Julie for giving an opportunity for me to represent SanDisk. And I always look for the opportunity to visit Berkeley, primarily to say it's such a beautiful campus, and use that opportunity also to learn from very talented students and the professors here. Just about myself, I'm Shiva Esturi, Director responsible for supply chain optimization at SanDisk. And my background, I did my engineering, mechanical engineering, like most of you, and master's in industrial engineering and operations research. After that, I spent 5 years in consulting. It's on the supply chain solutions where I worked in around 13 different countries and 15 different companies helping on the supply chain improvements. And I'm with SanDisk for the last 10 years. And so initially started in the IT department, setting up their advanced planning systems. Then started the supply chain optimization team. And since then it's been like last 6 years, and a lot of students, many from Berkeley and other institutes, part of this team helping to improve the supply chain every day.
Hi, my name is Rie. I met some of you yesterday. I'm from Japan. I'm currently enrolled in IOA program. Before joining Berkeley, I was working in New Jersey for last 4 years in gas manufacture. And before that, I was working in investment banking in Tokyo. I had a double major undergrad in English literature and also business, concentration marketing finance, both in Japan and New York. And currently I'm working with Lee and Julie as a career representative for 2014 class. And I have accepted a job offer from Bank of America Merrill Lynch as a quantitative management associate.
Hi, my name is Mallory. I am from the class of 2012, and I'm from Colorado originally. I did my undergrad at the Colorado School of Mines in electrical engineering, and then I came here and was in the EECS department. My concentration was in robotics and embedded systems. And now I am a research engineer at SRI International in the robotics group.
Hi, I'm Tony. Like Mallory, I'm also from the 2012 class. And like Mallory, I was in ECS and I did robotics, embedded systems. I came from Australia, hence my accent a little bit. I studied mechatronics engineering and science in my undergrad. And right now I'm working as a product manager at Intuit.
Great, thank you. So we have people that come to this program from everywhere. I'm curious, just for fun, for the students, when you first came to Berkeley, was there something unique that you noticed or a funny story? Because I know Berkeley can be a very unique place. And is there something that stands out for you?
So I had one, and it was, I already mentioned my Australian accent. Like, I thought I knew how to speak English, so when I came here, there wouldn't be any, like, surprises. But I went to Starbucks, and I went to order, like, a coffee, and they couldn't understand what I was saying. So I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. So. But, yeah, that was kind of funny.
I don't have a funny story, but I think what I thought about the most with that question is for me, coming from Colorado is not that far away, I guess, but the population density is pretty different there, and the cultural diversity is not so much. So coming here was a bit of a culture shock. There's a lot of people here, but I think that just contributes to like how great it is in the Bay Area. It's really interesting to be here. There's so much going on, and a lot of interesting people to meet and things to do.
Having worked in Tokyo and New Jersey / New York, I realized that everyone's very, very casual. But besides that, I was quite new to the very hilly town, as you guys probably noticed today. And I parked my car on the really steep hill facing downside without any space in front and back. And realized that when I tried to get out of the parking, I realized even though it's in the reverse, if you release your brake, your car will just go forward. So I had to really accelerate fast to go up, but then there's no space on the backside, so I got out of my car and has to decide which car to hit. But luckily, the driver from the back, the car from the backside came and then drove off, so I was able to get out without any accidents. So be careful when you're parking on the hill.
I'll pass on that question.
Okay, great. Mallory touched upon my next question a little bit, but did you find it difficult to adjust to Berkeley, both academically and culturally? And did you maybe have any tips for students that were coming from different locations? Maybe Tony and Rie.
For me, I think the culture was a little bit different. The people here at Berkeley, they're the best students from all around the country. So everyone is highly motivated, everyone is highly passionate, and that's a good thing because you can learn a lot from your fellow students. I think adjusting, the best thing to do is just to have an open mind, be willing to learn from just anyone you meet in the Berkeley campus, whether it's an undergrad or a grad or a professor, they all have something that they can teach you.
For culturally, I don't think you have any problems. People are very friendly, open-minded. But academically, I know that you guys are very achieved candidates, but it is very, very challenging. And if it's master degree, it's not like you remember formula from a book and then you can get an A. You have to really apply that concept in a real problem. And not just mediocre approach, but everyone really is creative and you have to really compete with them. So academically, you have to be really passionate about what you believe that you love and what you believe that you want to really create as your competitive advantage of your skills through this program.
Great, thank you. I'm going to shift into some more career-oriented questions now. I'd like to know, for the alumni and for Rie, your experience interviewing on campus, what companies you interviewed with, and if you have one takeaway tip for recruiting from Cal. And Shiva, I know you've interviewed a lot of students, your experience interviewing Masters of Engineering students.
So it's definitely very good, the interviewing, being the part of the interview discussion. So the SanDisk, we started this something called New College Graduate Program 4 years back. And since then, so we have this new college, the students that we are interviewing every 6 months, and it's a mix like from multiple universities and of course including Berkeley, Masters in Engineering program. And my experience, it very closely resonates with my co-panelists. So when I have a question, let's say the practical application of the things or the theory that you would have studied in the course structure, I see most of the students from the Berkeley, the Masters of Engineering program, are able to correlate the theory that they learned to the practical application of the things and give me the answer. So it's that definitely stands out in the interview. So I can that's been my experience, and which is a good thing. It comes out the theoretical knowledge without the practical application of fit doesn't matter too much for the industry. And now I understand the course structure makes you to be ready for it. So which is a great thing.
Great, thank you. Ray, do you want to talk a little bit about your interviewing experience this year? What companies you interviewed with? And
Sure. I actually interviewed SunDisk and also Bank of America, and that's actually two companies that I actually interviewed with. And one takeaway I received from my interview process was you have to have something that differentiates you from other students. Having a Berkeley name on your resume puts you automatically into a different level. So you're competing with very smart students with other Ivy League or any high-level schools from the outside of the United States. So you really have to have something differentiate you from other students. Like have a killer product portfolio. Like even you have okay products, but you should have something, the layout makes it so cool, or you can present so that it sounds so cool too, or have a killer question that no other student would ask. And one of the questions that I found that really helpful was that the company loved to talk about how they did during the Lehman shock. That question, they really, really liked it. They want to show how unique their approach to combat the volatility in the market. And then, for example, with SanDisk, I checked the stock price before and after Lehman shock, and I also compared with other competitors, and it took you only 10 minutes of your time. But if you ask that question, like, why is your stock recovered so quickly in comparison to other competitors? And they love to talk about that because their product's better, or their approach and the strategy is different. So that's one question that you could ask to differentiate yourself. But know how to differentiate yourself.
great, thank you, Mallory. What companies? I know you've been out of the program for a little while now, but if you can recall what companies you interviewed with, and in your experience was a little bit different, you could even talk about your capstone and what happened there if you want.
So I guess I'll start with that. For my capstone, I had kind of a unique opportunity to continue working on my capstone after graduation. My capstone project wasn't associated with a particular company, as a lot of them are. I was working specifically with a professor on campus, and he offered to have me stay on and continue working with him for a while after graduation, which I took advantage of. And it worked out really well for me because I had a lot more time to really look around and interview at a lot of places, and I had a little more time to prepare for all of that interviewing and job searching and things like that. So I think that's definitely, I've even talked to current students about doing the same kind of thing, so I know that it's an option, and it's something that maybe is unique, but I found really helpful to be able to stay on campus and continue work. And let's see, yeah, so after that, or during that, I interviewed with several, mostly robotics companies. I'm really interested in robotics. And so I interviewed with JPL, Kiva Systems, Nito Robotics, and SRI, where I work now. And and also Honda, Honda's Research Institute. And I think that it's really beneficial, despite all of the preparation services you get on campus. I think it's really important to just get as many interviews as you can. I especially find phone interviews difficult, and because I really like to see the person that I'm talking to and like know where to go with the conversation based on that. But so phone interviews I found really difficult, and those are hard to practice. But with any interview, you can't really like recreate that feeling you get right before you're gonna have an interview of like the nerves and the trying to get prepared. So mock interviews are good, but just try to get as many interviews as possible, I think, with any company.
Thank you, Tony.
Yes, I agree with what Rie and Mallory said. Two probably most important things is you have to think about what makes you different from all the possibly hundreds of other candidates that are applying, also probably from really great schools with really great scores. What can you show? And most likely this is probably something that's not being taught in class. It's something that it's unique to you yourself, whether it's a passion of yours or it's a project that you've been working on in your own time. Things like that can really differentiate you from other students. And what Mallory said, definitely my biggest advice to you would be to start interviewing early and interview as much as possible. Even if it's for companies you may not even intend to like go there, even if you get an offer. But that makes it the perfect opportunity to practice. You don't want to go and apply for a company you really want to work for with having no interview experience, because you're not going to know what you are good at. Everyone has a different way of kind of selling themselves or telling the story of what makes them unique, and you need to find that out for yourself, and the best way to do that is through practice.
Great. Thanks, Tony. What companies did you interview with while you were here at Cal?
For me, I interviewed for a couple, and from different fields as well. I think I interviewed for like Yelp, Oracle, some other software companies, and then some consulting firms. But I guess none of them I really did it for the practice. And then I was lucky when I interviewed for Intuit, I got the offer. So, and that was the company that I wanted to work for. So then it ended there. So
Great,
it was
great.
good.
And Intuit has a really great rotational program, similar to SanDisk's program, which we'll hear a little bit more about. But our students coming out of this program seem to be very well fitted for these rotational programs. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing?
Sure. So like I said, I'm currently working as a product manager, and I'm actually in Intuit's kind of graduate rotational program. What that means is I entered the program as an engineer, and I worked as a software engineer for 1 year. And then I have the opportunity to kind of rotate into other roles, whether it's maybe a different side of software engineering, or like myself, I rotated into product management. I could also rotate into interaction design, visual design, if I have the skills for that, or marketing or finance or any other related fields. And the purpose of this program is to kind of scout out talented students who may have an aptitude for leadership, and not just within the fields that they may have studied. So they're looking for people who can expand. They're looking for, I guess, Julie, you might have mentioned it, like T-shaped students, people who have a solid in-depth ability or skill in one area, but can easily expand or broaden their abilities and their knowledge into other areas as well, because these are the types of people that will make great future leaders.
And as a program, we're really trying to partner with some of these programs like Intuit and SanDisk. Schlumberger has a program like this. In the biotech area, Genentech and Baxter, they have programs like this. And students coming out of the Master's of Engineering program with the leadership skills and the deep technical skills are really doing well with these programs. So that's really exciting to see. So for my next question, there are, as you alluded to, there are a lot of services both within the Master's of Engineering program and on campus to take advantage of while at Berkeley, specifically career services. Did any of you take advantage of any of those programs while you were here at Cal? And Shiva, if you would like to chime in, if you have a recommendation for the best way students can prepare for interviews while they're on campus, any tip? We can start with you if you'd like.
The first, Julie, if I may, I would like to talk about the SanDisk rotation program.
Sure.
So the SanDisk, all the new college graduate get to rotate in different groups within operations. And so everyone will get a choice of 3 rotations. The first rotation is for the first 1.5 years. So that's a good enough time to know the company and know the job function and contribute. This is like we're not treating each of this rotation as the training program. It's each of this rotation as a learning, and also you are doing a full-time job while you're learning as well. And then the second rotation will be for 1 year, and the third rotation will again be for 1 year. And the third rotation is when you decide whether you want to continue in the same job, the third job that you are in, or you want to rotate once more to the fourth rotation and then stay there as a permanent the job. I think by that 3 rotation you would have found the job of your interest. And also the SanDisk allows is like once you complete your second rotation, you also can apply for any open positions in any other department for the experience level. So that's on the rotation plan. So regarding the interviews and the preparation, the interviews itself, like capstone project, I think that's one of the strong plus for the Masters of Engineering program. And just when you pick the capstone project, just pick the area where you want to end up to be. So that will provide you a strong plus in your interviews and also to convert the interview into an offer. Just the second one is also when you interview, usually the interviews are like 30 minutes or 45 minutes, especially if you ask the question that you mentioned about how you did in the downturn of the economy, then that will take all the 30 minutes for the interviewer to answer, and then you didn't have any chance to prove yourself. So the one thing what I noticed helps is at least you end the interview knowing what are the skill set or what are the key success factor that the interviewer or the company is expecting from you. And when you send a note, or follow-up note, just follow up on those attributes, like what they said are the key successful skills that they're looking from the candidate. You send a note following, okay, these are the 5 skills that you mentioned, and how from your experience, from your learning, how you can do a better job in meeting all those requirements. So even if they have missed out something in their interviewing process, the interviewer will get to know you through your follow-up questions or follow-up feedback that you provide to the interviewer. And it also provides a chance for the interviewer to take a second look at the candidate. I have done that a couple of times.
So that's just how accelerated our program is. We're already giving you interview tips. So, Rie, what did you take advantage of this year on campus to help you? What kind of career services?
I definitely utilize heavily the career website that Berkeley provides. The first 2 weeks when you have a camp, that's when you actually have at least homeworks. So utilize your time efficiently, and I went through all the list of openings and also on-campus interview opportunities during the 2 weeks, and I think I listed up like 200 jobs that I wanted to apply. And also that same website also gives you all the schedule when the company will come to Berkeley and have an info session. And those info sessions are extremely helpful. You get to talk to actual employers. You get to know more about their jobs. You get to know what job you can actually find in the industry. And oftentimes they provide food and drinks. The first semester, the first couple of months, I spend pretty much every night going to one of the info sessions. Sometimes I go 2 if the time allows. There are extensive resources that you can use, and they know that you're from Berkeley, so they already filter that, and then they will ask you more technical questions, more personalized questions. And also, I used exclusive career services from Master of Engineering. I think this is very, very fortunate to have a very customized program and career service program for you guys only. And especially the networking events with alumni. It's a great opportunity to know the industry and also make strong connections. They're very, very helpful to find your jobs and also expand your network so that they can find someone who might be interested in you too. And you will not miss anything. There's plenty of opportunities and resources that you can utilize, and then I used everything. Yes.
So I wasn't quite as ambitious as Rie, but I used Julie quite a bit. She was just really available for us and really knows like who we are as people and what we're interested in and what we're looking for in jobs. And she really helped me with resume critiquing and writing cover letters and knowing kind of what to do in different situations with companies. And I found that particularly useful.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Tony.
So for me, I also use Julie a lot. But apart from her, I also, there are things like resume reviews where actual industry recruiters come to Berkeley and they come and review your resume. That's not only a good way to kind of get your resume double checked, but it's a good way to actually talk to them and find out what do they actually look for when they are looking at a resume, because they get thousands, and some companies have like automated systems which actually look for keywords in your resume. Some companies, the recruiter will do like a 3-second glance, so it's important that in those 3 seconds they can pick out exactly what they're looking for. Things like that will be different for every single company, so the best way to go about it is to actually go and talk to recruiters who come to these events. They come to career fairs. Like Ria said, there's info sessions all the time. So whenever you get a chance to actually talk to recruiters, find out what they're looking for and how you can make yourself into the perfect applicant.
Great, thank you. My next question, I want to just ask Mallory and Tony, now that you're working and that you've been out of the program for a little while, what is the biggest advantage in the workplace after going through this program?
Do you want to go first?
Okay. So for me, I think all the technical classes that I took here, I'm not really using any of the actual theory that I learned because I'm in a different role, but all the learning, I basically learned how to be uncomfortable with situations where I really don't know much. Like I remember being in class and I'm like, this is way over my head, but somehow I got to the end and I still got a good grade. So being able to figure out how to do that in these situations, because you'll be in these situations all the time in industry. You get placed into a certain problem where your manager will expect you to solve it and you have actually no idea what you're doing. But you'll find a way because being in this program, you learn how to deal with those ambiguous situations. Basically, all of these technical courses that you'll do, they're extremely hard. You'll be in the same classes as PhD students who have been focusing purely on this technical field for years, and you'll be learning the same things as them, and you'll be expected to do the same tests, same exams, same projects as them. So through that, you'll learn how to find what makes how best you yourself works and how to leverage that to get a good result and a good solution. Apart from that, I think all the leadership courses, it basically trains you to think differently. Think not just like an engineer, but from different perspectives. For example, from a designer's perspective, or from a marketer's perspective, or from a business person's perspective. You'll have to work with all these people in nearly every single company out there will have these types of people there, and you'll need to learn how to work with them and find out how they think and what they're looking for. So as I go to work every day, I can kind of feel that all these leadership classes, it gives me the ability to kind of think ahead and kind of just approach the problem from various different angles and think about how to get to a good solution.
Yeah, I would definitely kind of piggyback on what Tony is saying, that I feel like the program offers you this really streamlined environment to learn all those skills that you would normally take like 5 to 10 years in industry to learn. If you're just coming into a new job and you have to learn those dynamics about like being on the job. Maybe some of you have already like worked in the industry for a little while and learned some of those things. I think here at Berkeley you can really find out more in a very short and focused time period what kinds of things you'll be expected to do or how you'll be expected to act, and how those things specifically can help accelerate your career. And so I think the fact that you're specifically learning those skills rather than on the job, you just kind of have to like pick it up by yourself, for yourself. I think that's probably the biggest advantage.
Great, thank you. I'm just going to ask a couple more questions and I'm going to open it up to all of you so you can start thinking about what you would like to ask the panel. Shiva, can you let us know, how does industry view the Masters of Engineering program?
To answer this question, let me provide some background about SanDisk, and then probably we can try to fit how Masters in Engineering program fits this skill set. So about the SanDisk itself, the key success factor or the business advantage that we have is in 3 areas. It's a combination of the 3, not one or the other. The first one is the technology. The technology is the pace at which we cut the cost, right? So in the last 25 years, we cut the cost 50,000 times. So if you look into any SanDisk memory product, 1 gig memory card, 25 years back, you would have paid $100,000. So it's the technology, the knowledge of the technology is the key. The second is business. We supply to retail, the OEM, the original equipment manufacturer, where the memory goes into the cell phones or tablets or laptops, and the storage. So the knowledge of the business and understanding is the key. And the third one is the supply chain. So we ship 2 million units, around 2 million units every day, and where our source is 3 fabs, the supply from 3 different fabs, to our destination is 260,000 end stores around the world. So the supply chain, how we balance the supply and the demand. So the knowledge or the skill set of the 3, technology, the business, and the supply chain, is the key. So think of any program. MS, if it is a master's in science, equips you with technology knowledge, not the business or the supply chain. If it is IO or master's, you might get more background on the business and the supply chain, not on the technology. And before, Julie was asking the profile of all the students, so almost all had engineering background. So you already had a technology basis. And then if it is a management courses, they focus either on the business, more on the business side than the operation side. So if you have to think about one course where you get the combination of all the 3, and so where you are empowered to make the decision right from day one, is this engineering background plus the masters, preferably in the operations or IO or supply chain background, and then the business knowledge or the leadership, the areas that you build as a part of the Masters in Engineering program. So that's where I would say how the industry, the requirement, and this Masters of Engineering program bridge together. And that's one of the reason also many students from this program stand out. So besides when we shortlist by Berkeley and the students' potential, same as from many other institutes. But when the selection criteria is who is the best fit, somebody who has the knowledge of all the 3 areas, technology, business, and the supply chain. So this program stands out.
Great, thank you. My last question, Ria, is actually going to target to you, similar to the 2 previous questions. Having gone through this program, how do you feel better suited to start your new position next year and enter the job market?
Sure. The leadership, can you repeat that again?
Sure. So having gone through this program, you're almost done. How do you feel better suited to enter the job market?
Sure. Okay. Me having a 9 years of professional experience, for me having a leadership courses was maybe less weighted when I decided this course. But because I have experience, I can tell you that knowing how the company do the marketing, really important so that you can better product your design or you can better design your algorithm. Knowing how the company makes financial statements so that you can make a better budget, which you might have to do it to report to your boss. Knowing how to read legal documents so that you know what you're signing for, what the risks are if you're trying to start a company. Those skills are really, really important when you're go outside of academic field. And because I went through that, I realized whatever the technical skills, the leadership skill that this program teaches you really makes you versatile and high potential employee for the company. And having those skill sets really makes you stand out. And when I had a final interview with Bank of America, I said, well, everyone else besides me has either master or PhD in stats or math. And then I was there with very weak background in those areas. But they said because you have those skills that they look for in a personality, you can speak, you can present, and you have leadership potential. So they pick me. And then they said, for the technicality, they can also teach me the technical skills that they want me to have. So they focused on more personal leadership skill sets that I felt strongly I gained through this program. I'm from Japan and still having really hard time speaking in front of the people, but because I went through so many presentation opportunities in the class and how to present to myself with the gestures and postures, and after 2 semesters, I had an opportunity to be in a class where we all have to present, and there's students from other department, and then I see a huge difference in the way that students make a presentation to the class, and that's what you're getting, and that's what the actual industry employers are looking for, besides your very high skill sets. So this is something that's, I think, perfect for someone who really wants to have a deep knowledge in technicality, but wants to advance in the company. And I hope you make a good decision.
Great, thank you. I'd like to open it up to the audience now and get some of your questions, maybe on some things that we haven't covered yet. And Danielle will be walking around with a microphone.
Hi. Okay, I can hear myself. That's cool. So 2 of you guys are international students, I'm assuming. I don't know what your status is legally, but how hard or easy was it to get a job, and was that an obstacle at some point?
So I'm an international. When you first graduate, you're on a student visa, and that enables you to work as a student in OPT, optional practical training, for 1 year, and then you have the option to extend that further. What that means is the employer doesn't have to sponsor you for an H-1B, and while you're still at Berkeley, you can start working as an F1, and then they can sponsor you for the following year. And if you're unlucky and you didn't get an H-1B from the lottery, you could extend your F1, and then your company can try again for the following year. So there's multiple kind of opportunities to kind of get that work visa. In terms of actually looking for a job as an international student, there's certain companies that don't have the capability to kind of sponsor you for an H-1B. So most of these are probably smaller companies without any like lawyer support, or they don't have like precedents of other people being on work visas. But that being said, the majority of companies that I interviewed with, they all were willing to accept international students. Obviously, if you had exactly the same skill set as a domestic student, then they'll probably choose the domestic student because it's less work for them. But that being said, that's why going through the MEng program provides you an area where you can distinguish yourself in terms of the applicants. So in conclusion, there's some companies which just you won't be able to apply for because they don't have the capacity to kind of sponsor foreign students, but those companies are usually just either very small companies or like less than 10 people. Otherwise, from my colleagues and from the people that I've talked to, even startups which may not have a precedence of sponsoring foreign students, if you are that good, then they'll do it. So there's nothing stopping them.
Next question back there.
So my question is, in terms of undergrads and masters, what are the differences in terms of salary and position that your companies provide, and what difference does the two make?
So,
So,
yeah.
so your question is an undergrad going straight into industry versus coming out with the masters, what the difference in positions and or salary. I'd be happy to answer it. I don't know if any of our panels have experience with that.
I can tell you that as someone with a master's degree, your starting salary will kind of at our company, it's automatically higher, even if you're in the same starting position. But other than after being in the company, it makes absolutely no difference. It's all up to you and your merit and your results at the company. So, in terms of looking for a job, obviously having a master's degree, that's one point which might distinguish yourself from others. But apart from that, and I wouldn't say it's that big of a salary bump, but apart from that, at our company at least, there's not too much difference in terms of opportunities or. It's not like if you have a master's degree, you automatically go into a management level position.
And a lot of it depends on the particular student. So if you're coming in with experience, that can make a difference, and you're adding a master's onto that. And as you go out into industry, your opportunities will be different. Somebody coming straight from undergrad that didn't have any experience might be going for some of the same positions that somebody from undergrad. But like Tony said, your salary, there will be a difference in salary. And there's often a difference in how fast you can accelerate at a program. Tony is absolutely right. It's up to you and your results. You have to do well. But you have that master's degree that employers look at favorably, as Shiva said earlier.
Just one thing to add, Julie. Again, the initial salary difference might not be too big. There is a difference between the grad and undergrad and number of years of prior experience, but the growth rate with somebody with the master's program is much faster than, and of course somebody with prior experience with masters, they will be moving up the ladder much faster than somebody with the master's program, and them compared to somebody with undergrad. Just to give an example, I have my colleague Abhijit, who did his master's 6 months back, I think, and so he started in SanDisk, and in 6 months, so he moved up to a manager position. So he is managing a team of the 5 people, including PhD candidates. So, and he did have some prior experience. So that's how it varies. So how you move up in the career path.
What's the starting salary range?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
I just wanted some numbers on the salary range after you finish your chem engineering and industrial and operational research.
So the question is, a typical salary range graduating in the Masters of Engineering program in the IUR department. The average is around 70,000 graduating the Masters of Engineering program. But like I said before, there are so many factors that go into it. In the industry that you're going into, not all IOR students go into the same industry. From consulting to a more supply chain oriented position, amount of experience you're bringing into the program, size of the company. But that's the average.
What's the highest?
I would have to look. I mean, I've seen it get pretty high. Students have definitely, some students that have come in with experience are coming out making 6 figures. No problem. But again, it depends on the company and what avenue that they're going to. So there's potential, but there are a lot of factors. But yeah, great questions. I'm sure everybody wanted to know that. So thank you for asking.
This is directed primarily to the EECS panelists, but I would be happy if either anyone on that panel answered this question. So as someone coming from not necessarily an ECS background, do you feel like the coursework in the technical area assisted you in finding that job? Because, you know, for me, myself, I don't necessarily have like maybe an embedded systems background. So do you feel like that helped solidify your background maybe in robotics when you went to go apply for jobs to the point where you felt confident talking about it and being able to like express yourself to those employers in that perspective?
Yeah, I would say it definitely helped me. The technical courses, so since it's only a year-long program, you're not getting, you're getting 4 technical classes, and I think for me, and coming from a different school, I think being here at Berkeley helps you kind of get geared towards the technical things that that companies around here are looking for. So I think it did help me with that particular, I would say with the robotics field in general. I wouldn't necessarily say the specific classes. I think if you don't have a background, some kind of EECS background, then the technical courses are going to be, I mean, they're graduate level courses, so they may not help if you have nothing to start with.
Sure.
But I think for sure I would not be working in my chosen industry if it weren't for those courses.
Thank you.
I'll just go. Okay. Just a quick question. I know that from what we've seen today, we've been focusing a lot on interdisciplinary work. And personally, I'm a bioengineering candidate. And so a lot of, what we're seeing right now is the EECS and the robotics and all of that. But how do the companies that you work with, how do they kind of facilitate this interdisciplinary work so that people with my kind of qualifications have the opportunity to work, at companies like these?
So add into it, if you're applying to be like a software engineer, then obviously you need to be able to code. If you can prove that you have the technical skills even without an EECS background, then you're still eligible to apply. In terms of a more broader kind of role, then as a product manager, there is no specific kind of perfect undergrad experience or graduate experience. I have colleagues who are product managers who came from IOR, some came from like chemical engineering, some came from cognitive science or business. So there's all sorts of backgrounds. So it doesn't really preclude, it does preclude you from certain like more technical roles, but in terms of the more non-technical roles, definitely even like it doesn't matter what discipline that you came from. What matters is what they see in you as a candidate.
I'd say it depends how you want to focus your job search as well. So we haven't talked as much about bio-E opportunities because we don't have any alumni yet. They're just going through it this year for the first time. So I would refer to where they're interviewing, and like I mentioned before, they're very similar type of programs if you want to be in more of a biotech field company that have similar programs like the ones that are mentioned today that might be more applicable to what you're interested in.
So just one thing to add to that, Julie, is again mentioned 3 things, right? The technology, business, and the supply chain. So business, supply chain, you acquire through this program. And the technology, independent of the engineering field you come from, there is a contribution that can be made. If somebody is in the mechanical engineering field, they can focus more on the product specs, compact design, those kind of things. Electronics, electrical engineering, they can help fasten the phase of transition. So in your case, there is a lot of the research and investment going in the area of sustainability and the green supply chain, and having the first 2 knowledge that I'm sure this course will equip with, the business and the supply chain, and with your undergrad knowledge of the bioengineering, you can definitely make a difference in these 2 aspects in the sustainability and green supply chain. and it is not picking up at the same pace as the other areas, just because the experts in the biotechnology field are like not necessarily the leaders and have the knowledge of the supply chain.
I think I have something to add as well. Kind of in the same vein, I'd be wary of classifying job postings or companies based on a specific type of technology that they have. So not all, even if a company is advertising for an electrical engineer and robotics or something, they may also be working with soft robotics, and they're working on exoskeletons, and so in that case, they might be really interested in someone with a different type of background than they're advertising for.
Great point. Thank you. Back there, and then we'll
Yeah.
look
Could
at
you expand a bit upon how you feel past work experience plays into when you're getting when you're looking for a job? Like, is it mostly going to give you an advantage in terms of like what kind of positions you're available for? Is it higher starting salaries, or is it more like bargaining power? Does it seem to make a big difference in that sense?
Are you currently working?
Yeah, I've been working for 2.5 years.
Okay, so 2.5 years. So I would say a lot of times it depends on the length of your experience. So when it comes into play, some of the main questions: are you looking to stay in the same industry, or are you looking to do a career change? So if it's a career change, your work experience might not be as much leverage, because maybe you're coming to this program to gain new skills to do a career change. But work experience is still helpful in the interview process, and employers will take it into consideration when they're hiring you when it comes to salaries, depending on what type of company and position. Sometimes, for example, if you're going into consulting, there might be associate 1 and 2. They bring you in at a 2. So there are different positions you might be eligible for. You might be eligible for a different salary upon entering a company. Shiva, I don't know if you have anything to add to that. If someone has work experience, how you view that?
Yeah, definitely the work experience is considered. I mentioned the case of Abhijit, similar experience, similar background as the Masters of Engineering program, but with prior experience. And in 6 months, he moved up to manage a team. And it also has while you are going through the interview, right? Like some of the things. Given your practical experience prior to the program, you can bridge the gap of what you learn, the concepts you learn from the program, to the practicality of the theory that you learn, and you will definitely be in a better position to articulate and how to apply the concepts in the practical aspect of things. And also after joining, so the career progression will be like faster. Relative to somebody without experience, there is some certain aspects of learning that that comes with the experience. So you already have that. If you have that, it's for your own advantage.
Great, thank you. We have time for probably just one more question. I see he has the microphone, and then maybe we could sneak in yours too.
Okay, so I have a question for Mallory. So you're a research engineer at SRI, and I noticed that for a lot of more like researchy type jobs or like R&D roles, they ask for someone like in the qualifications who has an MS or a PhD. And I just wanted to hear from you. Do you think that an MEng also opens up those kinds of opportunities? And why did you decide to do the MEng here as opposed to like a conventional like 2-year MS with a thesis?
So I decided to do the MEng because I was not interested in staying not interested in pursuing a PhD or staying in academia in general, and I wanted to go into industry. And I think that any company that you work for, even if it is a university, the skills that you learn on the management and leadership side are to your advantage through this program. And I think you're right, a lot of my colleagues are MS and PhD, But I think that I did have an advantage over other applicants, that I had some of those skills, leadership, management skills. Part of R&D and research in general is to be able to advocate for like an idea that if you want to get funding for something, you have to be able to really say, be eloquent about why it's important or why there's a need and things like that. And I mean, that's basically the capstone project right there. So I think that those skills can be also valuable in that application, in that setting.
So like from an employer standpoint though, like if a job requires like an MS, then an MEng would basically effectively satisfy that requirement.
Yep.
Great. And our last question.
Okay, I wanted to thank you guys for sharing your time with us first. So we know that the MEng program is very involved and applied, and a lot of your time is going to be dedicated to the program. So this question isn't necessarily close to you guys, but also open to the staff of the program. Do you feel that there are opportunities to recreationally pursue something that differentiates you during an interview? And do you feel that the MEng program encourages, outside of the capstone, and enables you to dedicate time to pursuing unique feats, unique tasks?
I think it's that being like we mentioned, the MEng program is hard and it can be difficult, but it's not like you don't have any social life or you have no time other than dedicating yourself to your capstone project. So you definitely have time to pursue any other side projects. It will be hard, like if you choose that path. So like my advice to you would be actually think of how you can incorporate what you might want to do recreationally into a capstone project, because these capstone projects aren't set in stone. I think in the past, students have come up with their own projects and they've been accepted, and students have been able to work on what they wanted to work on as part of this program. So that would be kind of the ideal situation, I guess. But it's all up to, it depends how you manage your time, basically. If you can find that time to work on other things, that would be great.
Yeah, I have a couple examples. Class of 2013, we had two guys, one IUR, one EECS, and they started a 3D printing startup. Did a Kickstarter and launched that and shipped their product while in the MEng program, working out of the Shattuck offices. And then you heard from Anwar earlier in the student panel, and she's working on a startup that she started as an undergrad, and they have funding. A hybrid example, like Tony mentioned, Connor is working on the startup. He started as an undergrad, but has turned that into a capstone and has other MEng students working on that with him. So there's a few different models. I would say, though, that's one example from each year. Most students are pretty involved in their coursework and their capstone project, being that you're only here for 9 months.
But I think there is a lot of opportunity for it. The panel this morning also talked about the competition. So whether it is just spending a few months with a team working on a competition, that's something you're interested in, working on a startup with some people that you meet in the program or at Haas, there's been a lot of cross-collaboration on campus. And there are a lot of resources on campus to take advantage of, whether it's student groups or meeting other people. And this is a great place to do it. So wonderful questions, thank you. I want to take a moment to thank our panelists for joining us today. And if you have more questions, I believe they're able to stay for a little while, so you might be able to catch them at the networking and snack hour that's immediately following this, before some of you have to go on to your breakout sessions with your departments and the case study this afternoon.